Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Mr. Daniel Yu, global strategist at Yuanta Securities. Mr. Yu, good to have you back on.
Good afternoon.
Well, stocks in New York started out stronger Monday morning, but closed mixed. Investors are concerned, it seems, about more lockdowns despite the rollout of vaccines in the U.S. Only the Nasdaq was higher by 0.5%. What's the story in the global markets?
Yes, as you said, Dow Jones ended lower, and the S&P 500 booked its fourth consecutive fall on Monday, as the Dow Jones shed about 0.6%, and also S&P 500 declined by about 0.4%. However, though, Nasdaq continued to gain its momentum and has risen by about 0.5%, and also small and mid-cap rose by around 0.2%. As you said, the vaccine news was clearly positive, and that resulted into quite strong rally of the U.S. market in the morning. However, as the morning passed, as we got into the afternoon, the optimism kind of faded as the New York City Mayor Bill warned the city that it could experience a full shutdown soon again. And it seems that that might be happening across the U.S. borders. Now, the new infections continues to rise, and with more than 219,000 cases reported on Saturday, and total death toll now surpassing about 300,000. Clearly, these kind of death figures and the new infection is making the market to be a little bit jittery. Nevertheless, the vaccine is actually quite optimistic in the sense that by end of March, over 100 million people will be injected with the vaccine, and that next year this issue about COVID-19 might fizzle down. And if that's the case, then economic recovery will come through. So therefore, market seems to look at that possible economic recovery in the future. That's why we don't see a massive correction, but rather a soft correction, and that might last probably till end of the futures and options closing date, which is the December 20th of this weekend. So before then, I think the market might be showing somewhat of sideline movement, but in the future, after the possible vaccine news and the possible economic recovery coming through, market will probably start to move up again.
Well, Korean stocks were mixed today, too. The KOSPI is still above 2,700 points, but down for a second session in a row. Strong buying again by retail investors, foreigners, institutions selling. What's happening in the local market? Yes.
Korean market also once again is mixed as yesterday. The Nasdaq is up about 0.2%. KOSPI is down by about 0.2%, and the level of the decline is not that much. So the markets in Japan and South Korea are both grappling with the surging infection numbers and growing public frustrations, and that is resulting into the market correction. News of vaccine has powered the gains in the last few months, with the Asian benchmark up nearly 16% so far this year. But I guess recently some corrections is coming through and affecting the Korean market as well. However, though, the rally has been led by the markets such as South Korea, China, and Taiwan. And main reason for that is because these countries are specifically IT important countries with a massive manufacturing base. Clearly, the semiconductor business are doing quite well, and that is resulting into the KOSPI rising quite nicely this year. And we think that that kind of trend will continue to happen in the future.
Well, changing gears here, Samsung Electronics recently did its annual reshuffle of executives, and now it's holding its annual global strategy meeting to make plans for next year. I think we can expect the pandemic to figure prominently in these plans. Tell us what you think they'll be discussing and what we should be watching for.
Yes, Samsung Electronics on Wednesday announced new presence for its lucrative semiconductor businesses, along with new chips for some of its affiliates, in order to solidify its key businesses, but maintaining overall stabilities. If you look at the Kim Gi-nam of Semiconductor, and Ko Dong-jin of smartphones and Kim Hyun-suk of consumer electronics will retain their positions into the future. And Lee Sung-bae, which is Executive Vice President of DRAM Development, was promoted to be President of the memory businesses. Clearly, some of the reshuffling happening in order to improve the semiconductor businesses. In terms of the structure-wise, the SEC appears, Samsung Electronics appears to position itself to increase the utilizing its free cash flows to reinforce shareholders' return policies. And clearly, payout ratio has been rising, return to the shareholders been improving, and that all results into much better performance of share prices. Looking into the future, the controlling family members should benefit from the high cash dividends in terms of the financing inheritance tax burdens we are seeing for Samsung's Lee Jae-myung. And looking into the future, we think that this company will continue to improve in terms of the corporate governance issues and will lead any other companies in the world, in Korea. And in doing so, we think that the KOSPI can move up even higher because a company like Samsung is improving in terms of corporate governance.
Got it. All right, Mr. Yu, thanks so much for sharing your insights today. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.